For my topic, I chose to talk about immigration, more specifically, some stuff that's been going on in the United States this summer. For my first article, from the New York Times, published by Mitch Smith in June, uh, author Smith talks about a law in Iowa that was signed by Governor Kim Reynolds that eventually was struck down by a federal judge after the Department of Justice sued on grounds of unconstitutionality. Also mentioned is Brenna Bird, State Attorney General, and it's connected to the Biden administration. This article is a regional article, and therefore one can assume that the author is trying to appeal to a wider American audience by connecting it to other events in other states as well as the upcoming election. For my second article, published in Reuters by author Daniel Wiesner, also in June, he talks about most of the same stuff, although he also mentions how local law enforcement could be potentially affected in having to enforce the law, as well as he mentions the American Civil Liberties Union, which also fought to get the law taken down. Now, the difference between the first one and this one is that this article feels a little bit more sympathetic to those who want to get the law taken down. And one can assume, since it's a Reuters article and a little bit removed from consequence, a little bit more removed than say, the New York Times, which is regional, you can insinuate that the author writing this has a little bit more flexibility in inserting his opinions and not staying one-sided or not staying neutral in the conversation. For the third story, is a news clip published by KCCI. Now, of course, this is a local news source. No author listed, published roughly around May, no exact date. This story is different, and then it happened a little bit earlier in the sequence of events before the law had actually been struck down. At this point, the Department of Justice was just threatening to sue. Besides that, the other difference is that it directly quotes a local Latino group, who's an interest group, of course, and that's what makes this article another aspect that makes this story a bit unique is because it's a local news source. You can see more the direct impact on those players involved, like Latino interest groups. For my last article, it's an article from NHK, a Japanese news source. This article is very different. It doesn't talk about the Iowa law. It just talks about Biden's intent to making the process of becoming a U.S. citizen easier by marrying a U.S. citizen. And it also connects it to the upcoming presidential election. And what we can insinuate here is that the author, speaking to a foreign audience, is sort of trying to appeal to their audience by talking about something that they could have access to in the future. In other words, an easier time becoming a citizen here in the United States if they wanted to. Also, since they're connecting it to the presidential election, they're trying to appeal to people who are interested in foreign events. And also, one can argue that Japan has something of a stake in our presidential election since we're close allies. Those are my 4 news sources.